In 1400, London was a crowded medieval city pressed against the northern bank of the Thames, protected by an aging Roman wall and dominated by church towers, guildhalls, markets, and the Tower of London. The royal court often moved between palaces, yet Westminster was already becoming the heart of government. While the city governed commercial life through merchants and craft companies, London Bridge carried houses, shops, chapels, carts, animals, and pedestrians across the river, making it a street suspended above tidal water. Ships arrived with wine, timber, cloth, spices, fish, and news from distant ports. Narrow lanes twisted between timber buildings whose upper floors leaned toward one another. Waste ran through gutters, bells measured the working day, and fire remained a constant fear beyond the gates-stretched fields, monasteries, villages, and roads leading into England. Plague still haunted families, but trade and migration restored the population. During the 15th century, struggles between Lancaster and York disturbed the kingdom. Kings entered London in triumph or desperation, rebels approached its gates, and citizens learned that control of the capital could decide a crown through political uncertainty. Workshops multiplied overseas, commerce widened, and London became more essential to England. The arrival of the Tudors in 1485 gave the city a new rhythm. Henry VII encouraged stability in trade, while Henry VIII transformed London through royal ambition and religious revolution. Palaces at Whitehall, Greenwich, and Hampton Court displayed magnificence, and the court attracted diplomats, artists, servants, and fortune-seekers. When Henry broke with Rome, monasteries and religious houses were dissolved. Their lands passed into private hands, ancient institutions disappeared, and entire districts changed purpose. Printing had already begun reshaping communication after. William Caxton established his press near Westminster in the 1470s. Now pamphlets, proclamations, translations, and arguments could travel through the capital with unprecedented speed. Under Elizabeth I, London became the stage of an energetic maritime kingdom. Merchants financed voyages, privateers returned with treasure, and new trading companies looked toward Russia, Asia, Africa, and the Americas on the southern bank. Theaters drew mixed crowds of nobles, apprentices, laborers, visitors, and thieves. Shakespeare's plays turned London's anxieties and ambitions into drama. Yet brilliance shared the streets with overcrowding, hunger, disease, and punishment. Repeated plague outbreaks closed theaters and emptied neighborhoods, while the rising population pushed construction beyond the old walls into suburbs no medieval planner had imagined. When James I arrived from Scotland in 1603, London became the capital of kingdoms under one monarch. But religious conflict followed the new dynasty. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605 placed Westminster within a failed attempt to destroy king and parliament. Later, arguments over taxation, faith, and royal authority divided the country. During the Civil War, London supported Parliament, raised defenses, supplied armies, and financed the struggle. After monarchy was restored in 1660, celebration returned. But catastrophe followed in 1665. The Great Plague killed tens of thousands and drove wealthy families into the countryside. 1 year later, fire began in Pudding Lane and raced through dry timber streets under powerful winds. For days the medieval city burned, destroying homes, churches, and warehouses. The disaster erased much of old London, but opened the possibility of reconstruction. Ambitious plans proposed broad avenues in geometric order, yet property boundaries preserved much of the earlier street pattern. New regulations favored brick and stone. Christopher Wren designed a new St. Paul's Cathedral and numerous parish churches, their domes and spires rising over the rebuilt city. Coffee houses became centers of business, politics, science, and gossip. The Bank of England was founded in 1694, finance expanded, and London emerged as a capital increasingly connected to global commerce and imperial power. During the 18th century, London escaped its former boundaries and spread westward through elegant squares, terraces, gardens, and aristocratic districts. while poorer communities crowded into courts and alleys near workshops, markets, and docks. The West End developed around royal and fashionable life. The city remained a financial engine. Westminster controlled politics. And the East End absorbed sailors, migrants, craftsmen, and laborers serving an expanding port, institutions such as the British Museum, hospitals, academies, newspapers, clubs, and concert halls reflected a culture hungry for knowledge and display. Wealth flowed through trade and empire, including colonial exploitation and slavery, leaving prosperity inseparable from suffering overseas. By the 19th century, industrial growth accelerated everything. Railways cut through neighborhoods and linked London with the nation. Stations became monumental gateways. Factories and warehouses multiplied, and the population surged. The Palace of Westminster was largely destroyed by fire in 1834, then rebuilt in the Gothic form that became a globally recognizable landmark. Beneath the grandeur, cholera exposed the danger of polluted water and poor sanitation. Joseph's Bazalgette's sewer network transformed public health. Embankments reshaped the Thames, and the Metropolitan Railway opened in 1863, beginning the world's first underground urban railway. Victorian London glittered with exhibitions, department stores, theaters, gaslight, an imperial ceremony, but slums, child labor, and homelessness revealed a city divided by class. At the opening of the 20th century, London stood at the center of the largest empire of its age. Its docks handled global trade, its banks directed international finance, and its streets carried motor cars beside horses and electric trams. The First World War brought recruitment, shortages, air raids, grief, and political change. Women entered new forms of work, suffrage campaigns intensified, and old hierarchies loosened between the wars. Suburban housing spread along railway and underground lines. Cinemas, factories, council estates, and arterial roads created a wider metropolis. Then in 1940, the Blitz turned London into a battlefield. German bombing destroyed homes, docks, stations, churches, businesses, and the House of Commons chamber. Civilians slept in shelters and underground stations. Firefighters fought enormous blazes. And St. Paul's became an image of survival amid smoke and ruin. Post-war Reconstruction replaced bomb sites with offices, housing estates, cultural buildings, and new roads. The Festival of Britain in 1951 presented optimism on the South Bank. Migration from the Caribbean, South Asia, Africa, and elsewhere reshaped neighborhoods, music, food, language, and identity. Greater London was reorganized in 1965, while later decades brought fashion, television, rock music, protest, racial tension, economic decline, and creative rebellion. London was no longer simply an imperial capital. It was becoming a post-imperial world city built from many communities. From the 1980s onward, another reconstruction changed the skyline and economy. Traditional docks closed, warehouses fell silent, and manufacturing declined, but redevelopment transformed Docklands. Canary Wharf rose from former industrial land. Financial deregulation strengthened the city, and glass towers appeared beside stone churches and Victorian stations. The transformation created jobs and investment, while intensifying arguments over inequality, housing, displacement, and who gained from renewal. London endured Irish Republican Army attacks, demonstrations, and the deadly transport bombings of July 2005. Yet public life continued expanding. The London Eye opened at the turn of the millennium. Tate Modern occupied a former power station, and industrial structures gained new identities. The 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games reshaped part of East London and presented the capital as youthful, diverse, and connected. Tragedy returned with the Grenfell Tower fire in 2017, exposing failures in building safety and sharpening anger over inequality. The Brexit era created uncertainty for a city tied to Europe. Then the coronavirus pandemic emptied offices, theaters, stations, airports, and shopping streets, revealing dependence on movement and human contact. Recovery brought commuters and visitors back, The Elizabeth Line opened in 2022 and created a faster east-west connection. Later that year, crowds gathered after the death of Queen Elizabeth II, and in 2023, the coronation of King Charles III renewed London's ancient role as the setting for national ceremony. By 2026, London is home to roughly 9 million people and remains a city where history is not hidden beneath modern life. But visible within it, Roman fragments survive near office towers. Medieval streets open onto financial districts. Wren churches stand below skyscrapers. Victorian railways carry digital commuters. And royal pageantry unfolds before cameras watched across the planet, more than a museum of its past. London is a living argument between preservation and reinvention. It faces expensive housing, unequal opportunity, strained infrastructure, climate risks, air pollution, and the challenge of making growth benefit residents across every borough. At the same time, universities, theaters, laboratories, markets, studios, museums, technology firms, and global communities renew its character. An artificial intelligence reconstruction can reveal vanished walls, crowded bridge houses, Tudor palaces, smoky docks, firelit streets, underground construction, bomb-damaged neighborhoods, and rising glass towers. Yet the most powerful transformation is the change in human experience. Every century altered how Londoners worked, traveled, worshipped, protested, celebrated, and imagined their future. From the compact river city of 1400 to the metropolis of 2026, London expanded through plague, fire, war, empire, industry, migration, and invention. Its buildings repeatedly changed, its population continually remade itself, and its enduring identity came from absorbing destruction without surrendering momentum.